Hello and welcome to another episode of Wild Woman Podcast. Delighted to be back with a beautiful guest from Cork. Her name is Jean Bowen, Cork in Ireland, just for any of you who are listening from outside of Ireland. And if you're watching, you will straight away get a sense of her work, I think, and feel it because I'm feeling it as I'm saying it, as well as seeing it. And if you're not watching, and you're listening, I'd encourage you at some point to go and check it out, the interview on YouTube, because I'm literally getting chills as I'm saying this now. Um, so we're going to get into a conversation. Obviously, Jean is an artist. When I say that she's an artist, what I love, and I'm noticing it more and more with the guests that I'm meeting, is that we are so many things. None of us are just one thing. And it came up in a retreat I was at yesterday, and people were describing themselves. And, I was listening to people going, I'm this, I'm that. And then, they were talking about how they feel. But it brought up for me that I'd always wanted a label all my life because I felt I didn't fit in. And I went, if only I could be something like a nurse or a this or an accountant, then everything would be okay. And I never managed to get that label. And I'm glad now that I didn't, because maybe I wouldn't have explored more because I'm still doing that. So similarly, this is what really attracted me as well to Jean Bowen. I'm sure many of you will have heard of her or come across her work. As well as being an artist, she's an energy worker, a breathwork facilitator, and she's a holder of women's circles. And she lives, as I said, in Cork, in Ireland. And she's always had a love for all things creative and journeyed into artwork in 2020 when she completed an intense 1 year mastery program with the Milan Art Institute to develop her skills and discover her voice as an artist. And definitely would love to talk more about that. Um, Very interesting as well. I'm always when we listen to I find when I listen to other women's and men's stories, you'll always find usually some element, well, we all have trauma, but something that has happened that has sort of catapulted us maybe in a particular direction. In Jean's case, she has been on a healing journey for many years to heal chronic back pain and fibromyalgia, which I've met a few people with it, and I've from what I know and I've heard of it, not easy to live with. But that brought her on a deep exploration of the energy field and the subconscious and sort of going deep within herself. So I think I'll leave it there as just a broad introduction to Jean, but I think you can get a feeling for that her paintings, to me, the word transmission comes to me, a type of transmission, energetic transmission or sense of, yeah, we can go into that. Hello, Jean. Before
Hi,
I go
Celine.
off on a monologue.
Thank you so much for having me, for inviting me onto your podcast.
Well, I'm delighted and thank you for accepting. I first came across your work, which you might know through another beautiful guest who was at the retreat I was at yesterday, actually, Anne O'Sullivan Lenihan. And any of you who have watched that interview, again, you'll see there's a print behind Jean at the moment. I think Anne has the original. It's the Garden of Remembrance. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, yeah.
And again, as we were talking, I could feel the energy of that painting with us. It's just magnificent. So we'll talk about your painting, but maybe first, just maybe tell a little bit about your own story. Maybe you grew up in West Cork. What feels relevant to share, and on your healing journey as well. Maybe what happened there.
Ooh, yeah, it's such a long,
I know it may be a big
yeah,
question,
a
but
long journey, I suppose, as it is for everybody.
yeah.
Yeah, so I grew up in West Cork. I was highly sensitive as a child and had a deep love of nature and yeah, running around the fields but yeah, very highly sensitive even to sound and noise and lights and touch, everything.
Okay.
And I do remember being really light and then having some childhood trauma which completely kind of changed my personality, I suppose. I remember going from being quite light into um, darkness, let's say, in a way. So I
Mm.
kind of lost that magic and that spark and that connection that I had. And yeah, I suppose you could say I suffered soul loss then.
Mm.
But continued on through my life. And as a teenager, yeah, I remember being quite terrified in school, and didn't want to be asked anything from the teacher, or yeah, it was quite shy. But I had a few good friends. I made a few good friends then, and we kind of hung around together. I started probably um, partying and drinking later in my teens and throughout my 20s, and found that I used that to numb out. And I suppose it was way of life in Ireland as well, though. It
Mm.
was
Yeah, sure
it
was.
was easy to do here because everybody was doing it.
Mm.
But didn't I knew I was doing it for the reasons that weren't just for fun, it was a
Yeah,
way of not really feeling my feelings, or I didn't even know what my feelings were, everything was so mixed up
yeah,
and confused inside in my own body. Um, I had used to disassociate a lot in school. I was a bit of a dreamer, I suppose. I managed quite well in exams, but I wasn't present really in class. I'd kind of take off or in my mind or wander off in spirit.
mm,
And then in my 20s, actually, a loved one who was very close to me got a very serious diagnosis um, of an illness that there was no cure for, and they were left um, to kind of just go off on their own and with no support or anything. So that actually triggered my whole spiritual awakening. Then I was quite young,
yeah,
so I started, I suppose, I started reading books and exploring spirituality, and reading things like the Celestine Prophecy and The Alchemist, and Many Lives, Many Masters. I don't know if you've heard of
yeah.
that book,
I have.
but I was
I,
just like, my mind was blown when I read that, because I was like,
mm,
oh, past lives, and look at all of this. And yeah. So I continued on, like, the way one thing leads to another, and kept reading and discovering. And I left Ireland and worked at sea for about 10 years on boats,
yes,
traveling
sorry, I
around.
heard that as a chef.
Yeah,
I meant to
yeah,
mention, I said, wow,
yeah, that's
varied
right.
life. Yeah.
Even though I wasn't trained as a chef then, but I learned as I was going along. I trained as I was doing the jobs, let's say. And yeah, continued on traveling for a long time until I came back to Ireland. And I came back to Ireland to have my son, Sean.
Mm.
And then that's
What
when
led you to travel? Sorry, was it just
yeah,
that feeling I have to get away from all of this, or I just don't know what's going,
yeah,
was it a running
yeah.
away or this sort of, oh, I just need to explore the world, or like what was going on that led
Yeah,
you?
it was just a sense of adventure, really. I wanted to
Mm.
just get out of Ireland, see what was. It was just a calling, just to
Yeah.
start traveling. I went to New York first, and then I met my husband. Actually, met him in Ireland, but he was working on boats, so I got into boats with him then. So we worked together on private yachts and traveled around together for the next 10
Wow.
years. Yeah, yeah.
That must have been
So
interesting.
yeah, it was amazing. I mean, I went to all these amazing places in the Caribbean and the Mediterranean, and but I still had that feeling of disconnect, like I couldn't quite
Mm.
grasp, or I couldn't quite feel the
Yes.
amazing places that I was. It was like I was seeing them, but I was separate in a way, like I was observing it, but I couldn't feel it in my
Yes.
body.
Yes.
Of course I could at times, but not fully.
Mm.
Um, so when I came back to Ireland eventually, then I started exploring more spirituality and body work. And I had my son Sean, and um, I my parents were both got quite ill at the same time. So I started to wonder, I was caring for them, and I started to become interested in shamanic training, because I knew they were going to be coming to end of life, and I didn't really know how to navigate that let's say.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's how I got into learning more about energy work and ancestral healing and that kind of thing when I came back to Ireland.
Okay, gosh. And so at that stage, art wasn't a part of your world, being an artist, was it?
Yeah, no, not at
No,
all. No, that was
no.
something that came further down the road. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the energy work, so you sort of, as you said, to sort of support your parents or, to help. I mean, that was a really lovely thing to do. Not man, like I've been talking, we were just talking before we hit record, and I suppose when you hit a certain age, we all face, if we're lucky enough that our parents are still alive, we do face that point in our lives where none of us escape it, whether we're very young,
Yeah.
or whether, isn't it? None of us get out of this alive, but also, generally our parents were going to have to watch our parents pass away and become an orphan eventually, but to actually take those steps to support them, like there's obviously, was it just that you understood there was something greater going on, that you wanted to help their spirit leave the body? Like you obviously had that innate sort of understanding of what was happening, would you say?
Yeah, that exactly. So they both were quite ill. My mum had Alzheimer's and my dad had cancer at the same time. And I had my son as well. So for about 7 years there, I was up and down to West Cork, caring for them as they were going through the different stages of their illnesses. I did study body work. I did Lomi Lomi massage and stuff for a while as
Mm,
well. And I used to do that in the house here. So it was a way of me being able to be flexible, like looking after my son, have clients come, and I could, offer treatments and finance myself, and also look after my parents. But the shamanic training I did really helped as part of that. That covers the death rites, and also part of it which covers soul retrieval, which was also
mhm.
hugely resonant with me. So yeah, so the death rites part was amazing because it really helped you to have something to do and to be able to communicate, I suppose, with spirit. And there was rituals that you could do as well at the time of death that would help the light body leave the body, which we did for both my mother and my father. And it just brought a whole other level to going through the experience of, holding
Mhm.
space for them during their passing. And it also gave a little bit of empowerment, I suppose, because you can feel so helpless.
Yeah.
So, and I think it was something that resonated with me anyway, because I probably have done that in many other lifetimes as
Mm.
well.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, so that's how I got into that. And as I got more into the soul retrieval, then I started doing a lot of that on myself and finding
Did you?
parts of myself, in parts in the subconscious that maybe had split off, or parts of my essence that were living in other realms, and bringing them back. And of course, when parts splits off, you're losing the essence as well, the gifts that go with it. So if you can find those parts and heal the wounding and change the contract and change the belief and bring the part back and integrate it back into the body, you're essentially just becoming more and more whole, or discovering more and more about yourself, let's say.
Yeah.
And with that, then all that kind of separation and that those the senses start to come back with it, as well.
Oh my God, that's so magical. Like I've been feeling that. I think many are. I've been feeling it really actively in the last few years, but I think and I would have, I'm say, suffered or experienced similarly, like you being, and many people I know, guests who come on this podcast and who listen, and I think most people are, like, we come in so pure and innocent, are very sensitive, and then often something, just life happens, whatever happens, different experiences, that we lose part of ourselves, because I
Mhm.
would have always felt completely disconnected. I couldn't
Yeah,
have told you if anyone asked me, are you this, that, or the other? I was like, I have no idea. It was like there was nobody there, nobody home. I mean, it's shocking now when I think back, but that literally is how I felt. And I just wanted to ask as well, when we come in, have we soul loss even as we come in as a baby? So we're not coming in completely. Is there soul loss from previous lives before we even arrive?
Oh yes,
Mm.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And we come in with certain woundings, or that's
Yes,
been my experience as well.
yes,
Obviously, I can't speak for everybody. I'm
yeah,
only speaking from
yeah,
my own experience here. But yeah,
yeah.
you come in with maybe that sense of loss, or yeah, I've definitely um that had past life regression
Mm.
and soul retrieval from past lives. And sometimes as well, the wounding that you have in this life, or a lot of the time, goes all the way into past lives and down through the ancestral line. And when you start, pulling at it or pulling at that thread, you can start to uncover all sorts of, I suppose, binds or twists or little bits and
Yeah,
pieces. So, or sometimes it can be something simple as well. But yeah,
mm,
definitely you come in. I believe that we come in with certain things to heal and certain
yeah,
things to clear. And
yeah.
we all have different versions of similar things, let's say. And especially people like you and me that are here to do this work at this time. Um, yeah, there's a lot of similarities. But also, I do feel that there's a lot of similarities with us as well. Like you were saying there, when we're young, that we
Mm.
just have no idea what the hell we're doing here.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, and
and
I
I was
turn,
like that
yeah,
for a long time, like, and
yeah,
didn't know what was what, or yeah, was quite frightened of like being here because I didn't fit in anywhere, or it was kind of going,
yeah.
what am I doing on this planet? Like, it's
That's
kind of
exactly how I
dropped in,
felt.
dropped in from somewhere else,
I
like, and
know.
just
I
kind of
used to,
woke up here.
I know. I used to look around sometimes and go, no, I think I probably did the other side of that, and I'm sure
Yeah.
many will identify listening is again, I turned to alcohol and anything that could numb me out because it was just too, I just was too much. I couldn't, the level of sensitivity I had, and then the
Mm.
world I was in. So I really get it, and it's so important. I feel I mean, I don't know what if it's the same experience for younger people now. I think they're coming into a different type of planet, or many are coming in awake anyways, and are like, I know what
Hmm.
I'm here to do, or less maybe more. What's the word? From some young people I've met, they'll just go, no, I'm not happy with that. I'm not doing that. I'm doing this. So that there seems to be, I know they have their challenges as well, but
Hmm.
yeah, it's really interesting how so that work, so like you talk about then going on and having fibromyalgia, and
Hmm.
when did that all start to happen, and the back pain that you had?
Yeah, so after I gave birth to my son, I delivered my son by emergency C-section. And I never really fully recovered after that. Like, it took me a long time to realize that I actually had fibromyalgia, but I had a lot of back pain, and I'd had like a car accident, so I was kind of putting it down to that. And the emergency section, of course, after going through the full labor,
Mm,
and then I was very busy as well because I was looking after my parents, and I had a young toddler, and he was quite at the beginning he was a little bit traumatized from the birth as well, because he got stuck and then they couldn't get him out, and eventually we had the emergency section even though they tried the forceps and everything. So he was crying all the time, so I was exhausted, so um it took another few years before I realized actually I'm not getting better, I'm not actually getting better. My vitality seems to, I'm always like on a 30% battery.
mm,
And
mm,
my with fibromyalgia as well, your muscles just start, your nervous system is firing all the time. So certain muscles will lock and then other muscles will overcompensate. So some are working and then some are asleep. So that kind of pattern kept happening for a long time. Um, and then that affects everything else in the nervous system, let's say. So yeah, that, I mean, my son's 18 now, so that's 18 years ago. So it's been a long journey trying to, I suppose, heal it. And I
yeah.
always wanted to get to the point where I thought, oh, I'm going to heal it. Oh, it's going to be this, it's going to be this, oh, this, it's going to be now, this is the solution. Whereas I never fully got to a solution. I've only,
Mm,
I only, well, I suppose I did discover more and more things about myself because I kept going. I didn't want to leave any stone unturned, let's say. So it led me from one healing modality to another, to another, to
mm,
another, which in a way served to bring more and more healing to myself, more and more of my soul aspects back to myself. But physically, I'm still managing
are you?
a lot of those symptoms, like even though maybe not as severe, but I'm fully tuned into my nervous system now. Now I know when I have to rest, and I know what works, I know what doesn't work. I know if I overdo it, I'll kind of pay for it.
Mm.
So it's still very much an ongoing journey for me at the moment. But it's changed a lot as well from those early days, where I didn't know what was going on. Like I'm much more in tune with myself now. And oh, sorry, I just dropped a crystal. I
Oh.
was holding in my hand.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely not an easy thing, and a very misunderstood illness as well, because it's like one of those invisible illnesses, where people think you're fine. It's a lot of gaslighting around it, they're
Mm. You look fine, or
yeah,
you look
yeah,
great,
or
or
yeah, or kind of like people might glaze over a little bit if you mention it. So I actually don't really speak about it. So this is my
how
first
does it?
time kind of speaking about it here
Okay.
publicly.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, you're
Because I
welcome.
know there are other, it's interesting as well. The one of the guests I interviewed a few years ago has just come back to me now. She suffered greatly with my fibromyalgia, sorry, when she
Hmm.
was younger. But again, she described something similar, really hectic life. She was bringing up two children on her own. There was, just a lot of that, what you were saying, a lot of stress and looking after different people and different things. And it's interesting, she was a teacher and loved art, but she eventually went on to become an artist full time. So it's sort
Yeah,
of, there's probably different paths for each of us that we need to. I had cancer, so, everything
yeah,
is designed for us, isn't
yes,
it? For our life and our experience and what we need to experience here and how we're going to grow. Well, that's how I see it now. Again,
yeah,
I don't speak
yeah.
for anyone else.
Yeah,
Um,
well, exactly. I mean, I've ended up myself and my husband now we run a sauna on the beach because I've discovered that that therapy is brilliant for me. Hot and cold therapy, swimming in the sea,
really,
using the
yeah,
sauna. Art is something I can do from home. I have women's circles here because people come here, to experience that and to experience breath work, which is another thing that works really, really well for regulating my nervous system. So I discovered that, and then now I can share that with other people.
yeah,
So in a way, fibromyalgia, I've built my life around things that I found that have worked for me, but they're also helping other people as well.
yeah. Well,
Now I
that's what
have tried to
happens, isn't it?
to flip the script as well and say, well, actually, I don't need to learn this way anymore. I cannot have the pain and
Mm,
learn as well. But
yeah.
but it
When are
has,
we ready to let go? Well,
yeah, yeah.
I
Well, I'm
don't.
ready.
There must be something else there.
I know
Someone said to me,
that's a good. What else? What else? Yeah.
yeah, you don't get out of that bubble up to the next. As a friend said to me, Reese, it was lovely. This, the Nautilus shell,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I
Yeah. The
was saying, I
spiral.
just want to get into the next chamber. There's a certain pattern in my life that I'm just like,
Yes.
I need to be done with this. And she said, well,
Yeah.
visualize that in the next chamber, that situation isn't there. And I went, oh,
Yeah.
that's really nice. I really like that. That you're
Yeah.
not bringing that I cannot get into the next chamber
Yes.
if I don't resolve this, this
Yeah. Yeah.
pattern that's been, and I don't know about you, but
Hmm.
I'm understanding now that the pattern that I thought was about a situation is not, it's a much deeper, I suppose this is it, isn't it? A lot of your work from reading about, and even coming into your art is it sort of brought you very deep into more surrender and more surrender.
Yeah.
How has that
Absolutely.
unfolded for you?
Well, I suppose just with regards to the art, came through as part of another healing that I had done, I suppose. I was going through a lot of very, very deep healing there in the end of 2098, 17, 18, 19, where I was like going deep, deep into shadow work, but also, when you start to do a lot of this work on yourself, it leads into the collective consciousness as well. So I was deep in the shadows of the collective conscious for a while, doing different group work, and at one point, I felt I was, I'm finished. I'm finished with this now.
Mm.
It's too dark, I need to start coming out of that. And the art was actually on the other side of that. And I'd done a lot of healing, and there was one particular chakra. I remember I was doing the stellar gateway chakra, and it had to do with a lot of galactic conflict and things like that. And once I healed that, it was like the art was the gift on the other side of that, and all this color and creativity started coming in. I felt it was something I really wanted to do. The way the ideas just drop in. I was like, oh yeah, I
Mm.
must do this. And then I saw this amazing course, not the Milan one, but another one first, which was called Art is My Medicine, with this amazing Israeli woman. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do that. And then I started painting, and
Had you been painting at all, Jean?
not really. I used to draw and paint a little bit when I was young in my bedroom. I remember that.
Mm.
And I liked art in school, but I gave it up at intercert. And I had started maybe a year before that a little bit in a class in Kinsale, like a night class or something like that. But like if I showed you what I painted then and the difference now, like I mean, it's phenomenal. So when people say you're very gifted, I'm like anybody can learn. Anybody can learn if they want to, if it's something they're drawn to.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, so I started doing the painting, and then it was really therapeutic for me because a lot of like the journeying and different guides that I was connecting with and things I was seeing in the energetic and the etheric worlds, I was able to bring it through on the canvas, and then I was like, oh, look, I have something physical, so that seemed quite
Mm.
important for me in some way. And
Mm.
then other people would start to see it, and they'd be like, oh, I feel something from this, or they'd start telling me what they felt from it. So it kind of developed from there then. And I felt, God, if I could create, maybe I could set the intention that I create paintings that create healing for whoever's looking at them. And then I could create prints from that painting, and then they'd all be like little portals that would go into people's homes and create healing in the homes. And it wouldn't just be one-on-ones anymore. It would be like you create something and kind of spread it and ripple it out.
Beautiful.
Um, so
Yeah.
that was my intention with it. And um, yeah, and I love the creative process as well, as well as also hating it obviously at times because it's quite chaotic and getting blocked and stuck and everything. But there's always a message that comes through at the end, of each piece or at each painting, of what it's about and my connection with it. And yeah, and then a message for everybody else as well, I suppose.
Mm. And how does it start? Do you consciously say now if you finished a piece and you
Yeah.
usually, take some time or whatever, relax, and do you consciously start, or do you just feel something sort of drop in, or how does that creative process work for you?
Yeah, it's a mix of things. So, like I always have a lot of ideas. A lot of the stuff doesn't even make it to the canvas because it takes a lot longer to, create them physically than what I have in my mind. So,
Mm.
but yeah, like with the Eru one that you liked, the Garden of Remembrance, that came through quite strongly in a healing I was receiving myself.
That's behind you now, just for people watching, isn't it? That's the one
Yeah,
on the
that's
left.
fun. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if you're watching, it's on her right. Yeah, Jean's right. Yeah, your left. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was
Mm.
like something I just started. I was having a womb healing. My sister, she's a priestess, and she was doing a womb healing on me, or she was doing her training at the time. And I could just see this woman coming up out of the water, and with the red hair, and I knew it was like the goddess of the land of Ireland coming in. So that happened during that healing, and then it took me about a year to actually get it on the canvas. So I would have an idea, let's say, and then I would start maybe with some texture and pour some colors on the canvas, maybe write intentions into the canvas, um, create a sacred space and create some ritual around it. And um, and then sometimes you'll see different shapes and stuff coming out. And
Mm.
sometimes I might just work with those, or sometimes I might look for a reference photo, maybe of a woman or something like that, so I can get an idea of shape and so that the composition is good. You're not just doing it
Mm.
all out of your imagination, but it'll take its own shape then when I'm painting it. And different things will come bit by bit. Then it'll be like, oh, put in a swan. Oh, you need to put this in, or put that in, and just the information just drops in as I'm going along. And yeah, and that particular painting I did, and then there was a retreat in Ireland last year called the the Daughters of Paradise or something like that. And I saw the retreat and I was like, oh my God, that's the painting I did. So it was like The exact same energetics. So then I was like, well, I'll have to go to the retreat. So I went off to the retreat this year. And so all those little synchronicities coming in are amazing. And it was all about the energetics of the land and of Eru and of the divine feminine and you know the clearing of we've been clearing, I think,
Mm.
for a long time now, all the vines in Ireland. And it's felt really heavy here. Like anytime I go away and I
Mm.
come back, it's like you're kind of going through
Mm.
treacle. Because you've had the church and the patriarchy and all the different distortions all over. And Ireland is a really, really magical place. But
Yes.
I've always felt it's very, very hard work here. I've always felt it for me personally. But ever
Mm.
since the summer and now I do feel there is a shift, definitely. I think the country is starting to breathe, the land is starting to breathe again. And I can feel a very, very deep connection here when I go to the woods, when I go to the water. And I feel that, she's able to come back online, that there is a huge freedom. Um, so that's what that painting is about. It's called Garden of Remembrance. And we actually did, we all got baptized and everything on that retreat. We took the rite of baptism back, as the priestesses used to do that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And coming back to the innocence, this one as well, is also about the Garden of Eden and how the distortion, the way that all the stories are distorted in some way against the
Hmm.
feminine.
Yes.
So it's clearing that, and she's coming back and she's sovereign and she's strong and she's able to be,
Mm.
her dress is a little bit see-through, so she's able to stand there in her
Mm.
femininity and in her purity and in her innocence and in her strength as well.
Yes.
And she's able to breathe and she's able to bring forth her creativity, her portal of creativity. Yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful how
So,
you've described that. No, it's so
yeah.
beautiful. I could literally feel it. And what you said, when you said even when you were younger and being very sensitive and just feeling, oh my God, what am I, I'm feeling out of place or like I always felt that here as well. And I'm wondering now, as you describe the layers of all of that coming off Ireland, is that part of, because I've noticed, and I suppose I've been doing a lot of healing work on myself and clearing things out and old patterns and emotions. But also in the last few months, I've felt a real accelerated sort of, oh, like, which I sort of wanted to talk to you about in your art as well. It's like someone's nearly switching on light switches in me. And I'm like, oh, how am I? It's like someone just took off a pair of glasses and I'm seeing, and it's nearly like every day now, there's another, oh, that's not really it. Now and it's happening. Is that part of it, you think, that why many felt so out of place? I mean, I know everywhere because the word, the planet in itself had been so sort of controlled in this sort of, if you want to call it artificial matrix or whatever, darker sort of forces of control,
Mhm.
that it's becoming easier if you are very sensitive now, would you sort of correlate that at all or?
Oh yeah, I would definitely, but I think
Mm.
it's also because of all of the people like us who felt completely out of place and have had a lot of pain and maybe illness and different stories and different things that we've had to work through. Um, that we've kept doing that work, and kept kind of forging forward, kind of with the sword
Well,
and
it was that
clearing.
or die, wasn't it? I
Yeah,
often
yeah,
felt.
exactly. Because you're so kind of you can't stay where you are. You have to push through and push through the shadowlands and
Mm.
and clear and as you're doing it on yourself and you're clearing the binds and clearing maybe the past life stuff and then the ancestral
Mm.
stuff, it's rippling out into the collective, and then the more people that are doing it, it's obviously all having an effect. It's like a web, I suppose. We're all
Yes,
creating a
that's
little
how
web
yeah.
that's rippling out, all the lights are coming on. And
Yes.
I've been in a group for a long time now, for about 8 years, and every month we gather and there's about 80 women around the world and we're doing all this kind of work. So I think it's partly because of all, everybody doing
Mm.
the work, that it is becoming easier, I suppose. And yeah, and it's only recently I finally feel that the energy is, I feel more settled here, and I actually feel, oh yeah, no, I do belong here. I feel like I am part of Ireland now again.
Yeah. No, so that's a big revelation. It's something when you've said that to me, it's like, Oh, I feel that because I am feeling it more, whereas before I would
Yeah.
never. And I think many, it's everything is happening at once, isn't it? Like there's so much as well, maybe grief and healing and letting go, and everything looks crazy. And then at the same
Hmm.
time, you can have these moments of such joy, and it's all happening together. Where
Yeah.
this sort of rebirth, if you want to call it, isn't it? It's like
Yeah,
it feels like
exactly.
we're in
Like
the
we're
birth canal.
coming out of the chrysalis. All the people are kind of emerging out. And
And
I mean that
yeah.
it's still very chaotic, obviously, if you tune into the media at all. It's like, yeah, it's everything is being unveiled and nothing is hidden anymore. But if you go out into nature, like I feel if I'm in the bay now, or like I mentioned, or I'm in the woods, I just feel like it's so pristine, that I can really feel that connection to it now. I can feel it in my body, and um, yeah, I think, and you can see it even with the resurgence of like Gaelga and like the heritage and the Irish music and everything. It seems to be all coming to the forefront again, and it's like all that magic is coming back.
Mm,
And yeah, I'm sure there's still loads of work to do, but I think,
yeah.
I think the energetics are there now that we can focus on what we want to create, And also, like you were mentioning earlier, about going into the spiral. I
Mm,
also feel that the energetics are there for us to go even beyond that now, that we don't have to keep looping. We don't have to keep coming back. We don't have to go, oh, I'm going to play this role and whatever, and have the same old contracts coming back in different ways. I feel, what about if what's beyond that now? Like, what's the new that can be created, and a higher level of consciousness
mm.
that we can create from, that it doesn't have to be suffering and illness and pain and karma and all of that. So, yeah, I have a lot of questions. I don't have that many answers, but I have a lot of questions all the
Quite a
time.
few. Yeah, but it feels like
Yeah.
it more we're talking like when you said that sort of web or grid, that's what I feel even like it was another woman who, and I'm interviewing her in January, who sort of nudged me to start this 2 years ago through me, synchronistically again, meeting at her in a
Yeah.
sort of spiritual event and getting talking and it all just happened from there. And then I just thought about her the other day and I said, God, it's mad like how meeting her, like everything about that you could say shouldn't have happened because it was all this series of I shouldn't have been there. Anyways, it happened. And I was wondering, I said, I wonder, God, yeah, I must have her on. And when I contacted her, she said she'd had a very difficult year and she said, I was just coming out of it. And she said, I can feel November, the tide is turning and something new is coming in. So and literally then I contacted her and she said, I'd actually been wondering, wouldn't it be good to go back and talk to you? But it's like, as you said, all these that's how I see every time I sit down. Like I'm literally told who to contact nearly, you know what I mean? And not
Yeah.
in that sort of
Yeah.
way, not told, but I just know. I go, okay. And the person almost is like, oh yeah, not as if they were waiting, but almost in another way. So it's
Yeah.
beautiful. And I know, like you said, so many people like the groups you're in, we're all, I suppose, just being guided to whatever part of the web we're meant to be in and
Yeah.
working on, aren't we? It really so just maybe to talk what I wanted to share with you as well, just I'm going to talk maybe about some more about your art, but they're also interconnected. I had a look just before I came on, and there was a particular series on your website called Soul Reflections. I think there's three paintings there. I don't know if you've even looked at that. That's
Are they all the abstract
yeah, they're
ones? No.
abstract. There was three quite similar.
Oh, maybe they were Gaia. I've three. I have a good few that are triplets, but
Yes, there were three beautiful
yeah.
green and sort of a like a spiral or a circle, and one had more sort of color in it. But the minute I just talking about the sort of activation or the energy, I literally was just looking because I just wanted to see more, and next minute I could feel this rush of emotion come up, and but the title on the series was Soul Reflections, I think, and I
Mhm.
just had this strongest sense. I want to go home. Like I want my soul. I want, when you're talking about soul retrieval, it
Yeah.
just, I think, again, if for listeners, if you're feeling it just become clearer and clearer, when you're feeling, so maybe lost or out of touch with who you are and what you're meant to be doing, it really comes back to that connection to your soul, doesn't it, ultimately?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. The soul calling you and wanting to come into the body though as well.
Yes.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
much so. Like I feel I have I feel like I started way out there and now I'm coming into the body more and more. So it's more like a descending into the body.
Yes.
So
Yes,
as this,
exactly.
yeah, and down into the earth. And that has been really important for me. The more I've embodied parts of myself, and even though it's been very painful, let's say physically, because you're bringing the etheric in, and then it's meeting the density in the body, let's say, and something needs to be cleared out so that it can take residence and be in the body, and especially down into the lower chakras. But I think for me, that's definitely the key is coming in and into the body and grounding down into the earth. And then we're starting to align with the earth and the frequency of the earth. And
Mm,
yeah, that has been a big piece for me to
that's
learn.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because
Yeah.
because I spent a lot of time shamanic journeying, and that was necessary as well because I had to journey to connect with the parts into my own subconscious, let's say, to bring them back. But grounding them into a physical reality now and into the body is very important for me, and that's why I do a lot of the sea swimming, and the breath work is very good for that as well. And lots of different practices to kind of support the nervous system also.
You think that's a big, an important stage we're going through right now? It feels that real embodiment. I'm just thinking
Yeah.
of someone again who might be listening, going, struggling with this. And exactly what you said there, this can be the challenging part because I'm meeting a lot of people now with different symptoms and different things going on. And the energies, I suppose, that are coming in the planet as well are sort of stirring that up. That's my
Hmm.
sense. So they're sort of stirring up any of that. I call it like mud, like if you have a glass of water and it's stirring it all up, and then
Yeah.
and I know a few people feeling very sick, very unwell, but I suppose even to be told that is really helpful, isn't it? To know, look, this is just really parts of you, really that are no longer serving you, or things that are not natural to you that are leaving now. So
Yeah.
but it's challenging when they're coming out of your body, aren't they? It,
Yeah, but if they're coming out, it's good. It's when we're
yeah, yes. No, I know.
I don't
I
mind.
always
I
say
don't
that.
mind if it's a purge. I'm like, oh yeah,
I
okay, it's
know.
happening, it's coming. Yeah, yeah,
Yes, but
yeah,
you need to know that because
yeah,
I literally had one before I went on a retreat. I was saying it to someone, this retreat I wanted to go on, and I thought I can't go, but I knew what was happening. But at least
mm,
consciously I knew because she even said to me, the woman I was going to the retreat, she said, look, if it was someone else who didn't know, they probably would have cancelled. But I
yeah,
knew if I'm meant to be there, and I literally got a window to drive there, and then I got sick again. But then I came
yeah,
out of it. And it
yeah,
brought me into a state of having to be quite vulnerable, which I wasn't comfortable with at all, having worn a mask for so long. You're brought into these. So I think it's really important to share that as well with people, isn't it? Just to know
yeah,
you're not going crazy. Well, even if you are, it's all okay. This is,
yeah. I had a very
yeah.
similar experience actually this year in another retreat I
Yeah.
went to in France, and it was a Mary Magdalene retreat, and
Mm,
I was wrecked like just before I even got on the plane, and I was like, oh, here we go. And you always think, I just want to be really well now. I'm going to be really well
yeah.
politically. It's
Oh,
when
look at
you
healthy
start to
and
completely disintegrate. My nervous system was disintegrating, like getting worse and worse. So we went to Rennes La Chateau, and we
mm,
went up to Montsegur, up to the top where the Cathars were, because a lot of
mm,
that consciousness is coming back in now to be
mm,
grounded in.
mm.
But for the whole trip, I was really sick, and I had to be, and I didn't want to be. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to say something, and um, the facilitator was absolutely amazing. She was completely tuned into me, and I had to ask for help a little bit, in the way we were traveling and stuff. I was like, oh God, look, I think I need the front seat of the car, and I didn't really want to do that, I was like,
Mm,
didn't want to be vulnerable, and
mm,
but I had a massive experience then just at the very end of it, just before we left, and whatever was cooking just came out on the and St. Balm, I think it was, on the base of a mountain there. and I just had a huge, huge purge, like huge. It was like having a giving birth, but was all kind of coming out of my mouth, and I had thankfully four people around me
Oh,
holding space for me, beautiful priestesses and one lovely man as well. And I felt it had to do with well, it was the facilitator Emer actually. We were speaking about it together after, but it was when angelic humans came to Earth way, 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 way back, and it was a really, really old wound there where they had been their DNA had been taken, or there was
mm,
like a sexual slavery imprint or something like that. So it was a clearing of that. So it was, I've had a huge relief in myself since then, but it was also connected to the land there and to that area. So I know what you're saying there about,
yeah.
when you're going to retreat and you think it's people like, did you
I
have a nice time at your
know.
retreat? Then when you come back after, yeah,
Feel like you need to.
yeah, I had a lovely
Oh my
retreat.
God.
Yeah, yeah, it was lovely.
And I had to
Oh,
cancel another one I was meant to go to, and
yeah.
well, it was for a different. But like, yeah,
Yes.
it
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah,
Wow.
so something's happening, it's happening, but like that, it's happening for you and it's happening.
So trust that if
It takes
you're
time.
going
It
through it.
takes time to, like, I suppose I've done so many now, but I know the symptoms are, something coming, or something's getting ready to release, and you kind of understand it afterwards, I suppose. All the
Yeah.
little parts of the puzzle. Life is lived forward but understood backwards, isn't it? That saying.
Mm, mm. Yes. And yeah, for sure.
If even,
If
if even
even, if
understood
even,
after, like the
yeah,
little glimpses that we get understood to our ability to
yeah,
understand them anyway. But sure,
yeah.
we're probably only
And when
still only
you
getting
do,
little bits.
yeah, like, do you feel, what's come up as well for me a lot recently? When you mentioned the Qatars, I interviewed
Mm.
Judith Kuzel. I don't know if you know her from South Africa. She does a lot of work and she's
Yeah,
got the whole history. And she was talking about the Qatars and somebody else recently again. And then I was listening to Laura Eisenhower just before I come on now, and she was talking about the angelic human and the literally what you said there. That's so mad. I literally
yeah,
she popped up and I'd always loved listening to her. But what was I going to ask you on that? Yeah, in terms of where we are now, like how, you know, even when you talk about your paintings, and I feel that these sort of codes, how would you
mhm.
explain that to someone who doesn't, they're like, what do you mean by that? Like, sort of light codes coming through. Is that just literally how we are being upgraded, I suppose? It's the light within our DNA being switched on? Is that
Yeah,
how
exactly.
would you?
So yeah, so let's say information coming in that's not part of your original programming. So let's say it's new information coming in. Um, like if you look at our light body as being like, let's say like we're a computer, so the light body is like software, and then our body is like the hardware and the computer. So you're like upgrading the software with new, getting rid of the old programs and bringing in something, the higher version, like you get on your phone or something like that.
Yes,
Um,
nice way
yeah,
to
but
describe it.
higher frequencies or higher information, but also something maybe, yeah, it might match up with some deep remembrance that you have, like of ancient wisdom within yourself as well, or maybe times when you lived like that before, or your soul has lived in maybe had other experiences where it's lived in lifetimes with maybe advanced civilizations, or before the consciousness of our humanity fell to the level it's in now. That might be a bit of a complicated,
No,
actually,
no, it's lovely. It's a
explanation.
hard. No, it's lovely because it's
Yeah,
hard
yeah,
to. I think that's, even when I
yeah.
had cancer, what I described afterwards, I wrote a book about it, and I said the only way I could describe it was someone literally wiped the hard disk,
Mm.
and
Yeah,
that's what I felt because literally my whole life just was like, oh, where's that? I can't really go back even if I wanted to, and I was
yeah,
just this fresh sort of software, and there was still lots more to be done, but
yeah,
it's like that was what was needed in my case. It was like, and that was the only way. So I think it's a really nice way to describe that. So it's just happening in
yeah,
different ways for people. So
yeah.
do you see that we're where civilizations fell before, we are now doing this and sort of ascending or rising again while we're alive. They're saying this is the first time we're doing this in a human form. Is that, or how would you?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the first time in a human form. Like, I don't know. I think my own feeling is that, yeah, we're raising our consciousness back up again, that it fell into quite a low density and into the space as well, where we're looping around and in a karmic loop, let's say. And then the energy that's coming in is helping to shift that so that we can experience something new, whatever that is. Um, and I couldn't possibly say exactly what that is or what's going to
I
happen,
know,
because
I know.
at this stage I feel, I spent so long trying, I'm going to figure it all out, and I'm learning this and I'm learning that, and then I got to some point where I was like, I don't know anything actually, and so that in itself was a relief, because you can surrender to the mystery. Um,
Yes.
but I do feel definitely the energetics for creativity are there, and that we can be way more involved in creating the lives that we want, if we take the action to do so. We don't have to be victim to our circumstances anymore. That those energetics are there for us on the planet, more and more.
Mm.
Yeah, and
They
in
really,
Ireland as
yeah,
well, especially
yeah,
because the way like our ancestors mightn't really have had that choice,
yeah.
as much, but we do now. And I think it's our generation as well that are forging the way for that. Because and even the
Mm.
newer generation, I see now with my son, his friends, like they wouldn't put up with the stuff that we would have put up with,
That's it. Yeah,
and he's
that's
like,
what
no, I'm not doing that. No, 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 this is
I'm
what
not
I
doing that
want.
job.
And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Or
and I
leaving
see,
jobs when that was unheard
yeah.
of. Like,
Oh
well, like
God,
we
no.
used to
And you
do
wouldn't
rang up.
speak up, or you wouldn't say boo, or you wouldn't answer anybody back, or you wouldn't challenge a teacher, or you wouldn't do any of that. But now it's completely, I see that it's with him anyway, it's completely different. And I just feel, oh my God, like when I look at him, I think, oh, the healing is working, because look at him.
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
you've been doing it your work, so I suppose that's
yeah,
bound to you see it, in families often where the parents have
yeah,
been very conscious and doing their own work. The child
yeah.
then often, I suppose it's depends on what each person comes into.
Yeah, well, I think somebody comes in to look at this and to feel the pain, and to just say it stops here with me, or takes on that role. Or maybe one or two people in a family lineage or whatever. I do see that big time, and I hope, yeah, for the new generation coming in now, that maybe a lot of that has been cleared. But maybe I'm naive in saying that as well. I don't know.
Yeah, no, but it does feel like what you said, particularly in Ireland, and yet there can be this feeling of sometimes being more repressed, that there's attempts
Hmm.
at more, let's say, but it doesn't feel like that's just the energetics, as you said, it isn't. And even like I've been studying astrology for a good few years now, and it just really helps me understand my own life and my own sort of, as I call it, my own blueprint when I came in, but also what's happening on the planet. Like we literally are, if you look at it, it's an ancient science entering into times we've never seen before astrologically. And I know there's loads of ways
Wow.
this has been measured, but I was listening to someone today and they were saying there's a particular conjunction or thing that's happening around anyone who's into astrology just hear it non-stop talked about, but if you're not, you'll be like, what? But basically it's just one way of looking at what you're describing, what's happening, and this particular arrangement of planets by next March, April. It's like he said it's never ever like there's ever been seen, because some of those planets firstly had there might have been something similar, but some of those outer planets had never been discovered. So it is actually the first time
Hmm.
that we know that there's this many. I think it's in Aries. Like we're literally starting out and Aries is the very beginning of the zodiac. So like we are going into unknown territory, which is, I just love hearing that because it does,
Yeah.
isn't it? It
Yeah,
really
no, well, it
does.
is. It's exciting, like, and it brings hope, and that's the human way. We always want hope, and a better future and moving forward, and yeah,
Yeah.
it keeps us going.
Yeah, for sure. Will you talk a little bit more again about, I don't know why it's just coming to me as well, the I've been feeling that a
Hmm.
lot, and a lot of people are touched the Mary Magdalene. She's really come in for me, or that lineage or that energy in the last number of months. And I was just started reading. I'd read the first book, Anna, the Grandmother of Jesus. I don't think I go, what is she reading? And now it's The Voice of the Magdalene. But she talked about, because you mentioned it in, I think, somewhere again, maybe that painting about voice suppression. I'm very interested in this. Um, and I actually felt that, and I had a healing done during the summer on the house. And as a result, I literally could not stop myself from saying certain things. I didn't understand it, but it was to do with the voice, because I've always had an issue with my voice since I
Hmm.
was born. But then I've done past life regressions recently that explain it. Yeah, things that were to do with my throat. But
Hmm.
so the voice, she's very connected with. I read something about, is it the opening of the mouth? Have you ever heard of that? This opening of the mouth, almost like an initiation that happens as part of, because wasn't the Magdalene voice, obviously her whole story and everything and who she truly was suppressed.
Yeah, completely. And like her whole image was distorted,
Mm.
into the prostitute. And they, well, for all the women in the Bible, it's like completely changed. But I think also when she was doing, well, one of the explanations about her work with Yeshua um, was when they were working, doing all the healings together, is that like the people would get amnesia as well, that she was there, and that was for her own protection, because at the time women would have been stoned to death, or it wouldn't be safe to be doing that kind of work. So that was interesting as well. But the voice, yeah, the opening of the voice. I've also struggled with my voice very much so throughout my life. It's been a big thing as well. So, and for I suppose women in general, I mean the patriarchy has been ruling the show for so long, and the energy of the divine feminine consciousness is coming up to be in balance with the masculine now. So, so yeah, and Mary Magdalene is a real representation, I suppose, of that, of healing the voice, and the voice connected to the womb. She was an amazing
Mm.
womb healer as well. And our womb, our I suppose our voice is, if we speak from the womb, that's where we're really speaking our truth from as women as well. So it's opening up that connection. And for her, like I
Mm.
make a Magdalene oil as well, and it's a womb healing oil.
Oh,
So,
beautiful.
and in our circles, we work with that all the time as well. And
What's in that
yeah,
oil, or how, what,
yeah, it's true. My sister again, who's doing the priestess the Magdalene training. So there's myrrh, rose, and neroli in it, and also a chant, an Aramaic, about healing the physical womb goes into it to activate it as well, and into the womb and all the other centers in the body. Um, so so yeah, all these kind of practices are coming in to help us to, I suppose, heal our wombs, which are portals of creativity, clear all the like sexual imprints, sexual slavery, abuse, rape, all the things that we've held to get, as women. And yeah, and when we open up the womb space then, and we can speak from there, that's when you're really kind of speaking your truth.
yeah, that's so
Yeah.
powerful when you say it's a very different. It was exactly how it was described to me when this healing or clearing happened on the house. It was all connected in the home and
Hmm.
with myself, that when you speak from there, I think it's a whole different. Someone's saying to me, when you speak from there, from your womb, and that it's like it's a voice or words you don't take
Hmm.
back, because it's the truth of them, it's the truth of who
Yeah.
you are. It's not coming from,
Yeah. Your mind.
division. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not coming from ego or mind. Like, it's literally coming from no, like, or
Yeah.
whatever, it's really, how would you connect that with your soul then? Is your soul housed? How do you, when you say the connection to the
Hmm.
womb and the throat, where, I'm always, I don't know why I get curious, but where then is, how does that,
Yeah, that's a very good question. Hmm.
is it just a channel for the,
I suppose, well, for me, when I'm doing work with women here, we bring the higher self, which is that part which is connected to source, all the way down through all the higher energy centers, but all the way into the heart and into the womb. So you're bringing it in. So you're connecting the physical with the spiritual, let's say, and down into the earth as well. So the womb of the earth, and also your physical womb, and aligning it with the womb of the cosmos, and bringing the soul or that part of you in,
Mm.
for any of the breath work or any of the energy work that you do. So I suppose that's just a practice for me of calling it in over and over,
Yes.
and
Yes.
trying to merge, the higher self and the soul into the physical body again, as we spoke about earlier. Um,
Yes.
Bit by bit, or whatever, or the aspect, because obviously you're here as one aspect of your soul. Well, not obviously, but that's what I feel anyway, that I'm
Yeah.
here as Jean in this physical body. So this is just one aspect of my soul. And yeah, I feel there are other aspects as well that are in higher states of consciousness as well. I don't know if that's answering your question at
No,
all, because I'm just speaking words whatever way they come out.
no, no, it's beautiful.
I don't
They're
really have an
beautiful.
answer. I don't really have a
Yeah.
complete
No, it
answer for
wasn't.
you. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, and I know there isn't like who has. I mean, it's not. It's like I'm like a child. Well, how when you
Yeah,
start
yeah,
learning something, but I want to know, but where does this connect with this, and
yeah,
what's and then it's sometimes, as you said, it's the mystery. It's that
yeah.
surrender. Sometimes our mind still, doesn't it, does not want to surrender. It's just become clearer and clearer to me. Every time I can surrender more, everything I need just happens very easily.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we're so programmed again to live in this sort of struggle, and well, I was anyways, I'll speak for myself, efforting and striving, that it is such, oh my God, it is such an undoing to come out of that. It's like I just reflex back into it. Um, but
Well, we
it,
were taught that in school. It's the educational system. I even see my
yeah,
son's doing his leaving cert now, and it's still the
it's-
same. So it's like striving and figure it all out ahead of time and
yes,
make this plan, and this is what's going to happen. Whereas when we start living from the feminine and the feminine way, it's like one step at a time, and you're
mm,
flowing from, moment to moment, and how you're feeling, and connecting in with your intuition, and your body's telling you whether something's right or whether something's wrong. And like you were saying, with all the little connections with, oh, I should
yeah,
this person, and then it led to
it's
this, and it led to this.
magical.
And it takes ages to unprogram yourself, because you have to live with the fear
Yes,
of
the
being
unknown.
comfortable in the unknown. Yeah, and being okay, like just completely handing over your
Yeah,
surrender to that,
first, just yeah,
and
to
knowing that we can't figure everything out with our minds, but when we get little nuggets of wisdom, it's brilliant, and just really loving that. But yeah.
Yeah, it's a I love to talk about that because it was so new to me. And again, that just started to open up after cancer in 2016. These
Hmm.
little, oh my God, I only get the next step. Like,
Yeah,
is the
yeah,
way we're designed to. There is none of this going, yes, you can have dreams and visions and all of that, but you're really only shown. And it's been my experience, and it's always been greater than I imagined, but I usually get in my own way.
yeah,
If
yeah.
anyone gets in the way, it's me. No one else. And
Yeah,
can
well,
you
we all
imagine?
do.
I
Yeah,
know.
well, we all do. Like, you have to keep training yourself to come back to
That's
the
it. It
the
is.
moment of surrender. Like, yeah, as well
Yeah.
as taking action, though. That you're
Yeah.
not just, you
Well,
can't just.
that brings me to what I was going to say, because I know that's the masculine energy as well. But I have had it asked of me a few times, and it's often been, well, I suppose the other thing is, I keep saying this, I am going to be interviewing men because I felt them coming in. Like
Mhm.
I could just feel I was in a circle and the men were coming closer, and then something happened. But I was told it was a lot to do with what's shifting in the grid as well, and in the earth, how as the divine feminine came in, the true masculine. But I have had it said, and sometimes a few men ask me, and what about men? Like men seem to be getting
Mhm.
lost, all of this conversation. Now, and I know the feminine, I suppose, the point to make, as we all know, the feminine energy is within us all, as is the
Mhm.
masculine. So we're not talking about women exclusively at all.
Yeah.
But how would you speak about men and their role and what's happening for them, or would you have something to say about that, or your sense of it now?
Yeah, well, like you said, the feminine, like the divine feminine, I see it as a consciousness as well. That's not
Yes.
masculine or
Yes.
feminine. So it's a
Yes.
way of being,
Yes.
that's aligned with compassion, heart-based living, and embodiment. And connecting with nature and being in alignment with nature and aligning your values with what's good for the planet and what's good for
Mm.
community. Um, and also for the men to be able to soften into that within themselves, soften into the feminine aspects within themselves as well. Um, and yeah, and I welcome, it does seem to be a lot of the women doing a lot of the work. There are a lot of conscious men as well. I had a beautiful teacher of my
Mm.
breathwork in Canada, and he was male, and there was a lot of maybe it was just that geographical area, Salt Spring Island. There's a lot of awakened
Mm.
men there. But yeah, I do hope that that men will start coming into this a lot more and more as well. I think it is happening in Ireland more. There are men circles as well. My husband had been to one
Yeah.
there last year,
Okay.
where so those circles are starting to pop up. And there are
Mm.
a lot of men doing that, where men can go and they can talk, and they don't have to be the masculine either. They can cry and they can share their stories, and they don't have to be strong for everybody. And yeah, coming more into that kind of balance.
Mm. One thing as well, yeah, that's lovely. And I've met a few men in different situations where I was like, I'm sort of going to this strength class, sort of trying to build up some strength. And the man who's running it, it's only a small group, like he was just so openly talking about his life and what he's been through. And he's in men's
Mhm.
groups and he does trauma work. And I'd say he's only in his 30s. And I was like, he's Scottish. I was like, wow, like he was just so let it out. If anger comes up
Yeah,
through
yeah, yeah,
the exercise, you're releasing energy, which I find for me is so often how it needs to. I need to move because I've got my Mars, my energy in Aries. It just has to physically, and I could feel it. But like that, he was able to identify and go, that's where you had cancer, and that's where you were telling me the surgery. Let that out, and let it move
yeah,
through. And I was just like, wow, I would never. And it was just so nice that it was a man.
yeah,
And it
yeah.
was really lovely. But I often think as well as men coming into their feminine, I the sort of a sense, and I don't know why, I sort of feel it myself, is that still there are a lot of men sort of feeling lost in terms of their roles because for so long they were told, you need to be more almost in your feminine. Well, like women, we're all equal and you need to be more sensitive. And then women are looking for men who are stronger or more
Hmm.
masculine. And there's this whole, you hear, I don't really like that word toxic masculine, but there just seems to be a lot of like, what do in terms of aside from them just embodying more the feminine and that being okay, there is also the role, isn't there, of the masculine within ourselves, like the container, the containment, how do you see that showing up in how we relate to each other, I suppose, how men and women even relate to each other.
Hmm, that's a good question. For me, I don't know, because I'm still very much healing the feminine
Mm,
within myself, and
mm,
yeah, and
okay.
also healing relationships with men, and embodying that trust. So I'm not fully
Yeah,
there yet. So, but we
I'm not
were,
either.
yeah, we were speaking about like I think, yeah.
Really interesting.
It is interesting. We were at even the retreat I was at. We were doing eye gazing, and we were speaking about how easy it was to do that practice because we were doing it with women. But like if you were like people who had done it with men before, like they didn't like it at all because they didn't, that trust is still being built, I think.
And is that from the patriarchy, you would say? Because some people might lead that to be, or how would you see? Is it just that?
Yeah. I think we're still healing the sexual wounds and the sexual trauma and everything in the feminine, that has happened as a
Mm.
result of being afraid of the masculine, I suppose, and the power that the masculine energy has had over the feminine for so long. I still do think that's very much
Yes.
healing
Okay.
and clearing through the consciousness and
Yes.
through our bodies
Yes.
as well.
Yes. Yes.
For me anyway, and I think that's ongoing. I don't think
Mm.
I don't think we're there yet. This is probably going off on a tangent a
No, well,
different
I've
tangent to
brought
the
you off
question
there.
you asked,
No, no, I'm bringing you
but
on tangents.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, good.
So I don't know. I don't really have an answer to what you're saying, what you're
Mm.
asking there.
Mm. And maybe
Except
there
that,
isn't one. It was a curiosity,
yeah,
really, because I feel that I think it's bubbling up. The reason I'm saying it is
yeah,
because it's somehow, and it seems to be coming up probably in my world as well. And I just know, I said from conversations with men, but I'm exactly what you said there, that sort of healing, I would find that as well of my own, it's only been quite new to me, my own realization of the sort of, what would I say, difficult or maybe wounded relationship I've had with men. I don't even know
hmm,
how to describe it, that I never even knew. And it's not
yeah.
blaming particular men at all. It's not that. It's, as you said, there's that sort of, I'm sort of going off completely on that. Sort of all connected a little bit, but we're all, I suppose, it's happening to all of us and within us. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Speaking of the compassion as well, I won't hold you too much longer. That's Kuan Yin behind you, isn't it?
Yes.
That
Yeah.
painting. Can you talk a little bit about her? She's beautiful. I read
Yeah.
about her in the Sophia Code. I think that's what that book.
Yes, and I love the story about her in that book actually. So when she was left to in that particular story, she was left to die, I think, in the streets. Her whole village was attacked and her family were murdered. And yeah, she'd had some really bad atrocities happen to her. And they thought she was dead, but she wasn't actually dead. She was just lying there, really, really badly injured. But she retreated into the forest for several years, away from humanity. And there she met Babaji, her twin flame, in that story anyway. And he taught her how to heal through healing her body through breath work and chanting and meditation. And eventually she started to gain her trust back and came back out into humanity, and then became um, advanced into ascended master of compassion and healing.
Mm.
And this piece that I painted of her, there's the lotus there, which is a beautiful symbol, which I love as well, because it's like we're coming up out of the mud and you're creating, there's something beautiful coming out of,
Mm.
yeah,
Yes.
you're out of the pain and out of destruction. So that's what she represents to me. And there's a white peacock with her there as well, which to
Oh,
me,
yes.
yeah, which to me represents the ascended self and that kind of purity. And um, on the background of the painting as well, I've got all the Lotus Sutras. So a lot of the time on the artwork, I'll have collaged in um, the energy of different scripts and stuff in the background so that the painting will hold that as well. So even if you can't fully see it, you'll be getting the feeling of that, or
Beautiful.
the prayer of that as well coming through the painting. But I always resonated with her, and I love all things Oriental as well for some reason, like ever since I was young. So I definitely have some sort of past life
Mm.
connection with that part of
Yes.
the world. Um, but she's very much a healer of the heart, and she comes in with the magenta ray as well. I think a lot of people who do Rahani, that I haven't
Mm.
trained in that, but they've
Mm.
bought prints of this piece of Kuan Yin for their healing centers because it's coming in with the magenta ray and the heart
Mm.
healing and the golden ray as well,
Yes.
and the feminine as well. That kind of healing of the feminine. And yeah, so that's kind of what she represents to me, is
Mm.
forgiveness and compassion and healing, true love, and finding your way back into that space in the heart, and what it takes to get there, because she had a really hard journey to get there as well, but that it was possible for her.
Yeah,
With
I know when I
but
read that story, it really moved me. I was like, oh my God. Like it does
yeah,
feel like, isn't it? It's all, that's how I sense it now. It's like all initiations. We're constantly getting
yeah,
initiated up to new levels.
absolutely.
Crikey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah.
becomes like a game after a while once you get used to it, It's like, oh, I know what this is. Oh yeah, it's that pattern again, or it's you might be triggered in some way and it's another part of an old wounding or another aspect of it, or that can take you even further into it to
Mm.
and actually when you do then and you start, healing it more and more, there's a huge expansion. So, because that you're creating space in that place that was all kind of, you know, there might have been a huge protection around it, or an imprint, or a bind, or for example, when I was in Canada actually doing a breath work, one of the things was that I had a huge protection around my heart, and it was towards the end of the 2 weeks, and I was breathing into the heart, and I knew something was coming. And there was a program in there about not being good enough, or so, a belief that I'd taken on about not being worth anything or worthless or something in there. And eventually, when I got the breath into the other side of that, the expansion was absolutely massive. I was just lying there at the end. I was like, I think I'm the size of the room. I'm not sure, but my arms and my legs, and while it was quite painful at the time of going through it physically,
Mm,
I managed to let the breath in a little bit by little bit, and I'd stop in a little bit again. So this part of my heart had to the breath was bringing in trust, to open,
mm,
and to let that out, because I put a big protection over that. I was so to not feel it, I suppose. But there was a huge expansion then on the other side of that. So that's something that's waiting there for anybody who's going through something really difficult, that it is.
it's important to say it, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
sometimes you're like, yeah, but like, what's on the other side? So when you say
yeah.
there was a big expanse on the other side, can you give an example? Was there something, whether it was creatively or was there anything in particular you?
Yeah, it was just it was physical, and that's in that space, it was a physical feeling,
Okay.
yeah. So I just felt really, really open in my heart. The breath could finally go into the heart. I was only breathing into my stomach up until that point, so there was a blockage here, let's say, between in the diaphragm and up into the heart. And yeah, so physically for me, that was a huge kind of physical healing. But I suppose it filters out into the energetic in other ways, with more like with the art and stuff like that. That came after, like, a series of these kind of
Wow.
little healings.
Yes.
Let's say that something like a gift is waiting on the other side. Then
Yeah.
whatever it is for you, or whatever it is for that person, or that
Yeah.
soul essence, or yeah, or whatever they're here to do.
Yeah, that's so beautiful because, yeah, I often just see it as like we're just, yeah, which we are, just an individual strand of
Mhm.
the one of all, and like we each have such a unique creative spark, and I never got that growing up, and I think so much again in school you're taught there's the creative people and the non-creative people,
Mhm.
and you're just in landed into that category, and then often believe that about yourself for the rest of your life, and
Yeah, we
it's
believe all sorts of stuff about
don't
ourselves,
we?
like, that aren't
Don't
true at
we?
all.
I
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
We're very
yeah.
gullible, really.
Yeah.
These things that
we
we just
we take them
accept.
on, and then they inform our lives, because everything that's
Yeah.
happening then is reflecting that whatever you're believing is in fact true for you, because you're believing it. Like, so until
Yes.
you uncover what those beliefs are, it can
Yeah.
be, yeah, yeah.
It's a bit
But
of
what?
work, but your life does
Yeah,
start to shift, isn't it?
yeah.
Someone said, look, if you're not happy with your life, just look at the movie that's playing out of your life, and if it's you're not happy with it, well, then you need to go within, and that
That's
is.
it. That's it. Yeah, because until we start to kind of manage the energy a little bit around us, it's
Mm,
going to do that for us. So if you're in complete chaos,
yes.
yeah, yeah, until you start participating and trying to, um, uh, yeah, I suppose open up the energy and do a bit of the work around that. It's going to be hard to be in flow, because
Yes.
yeah, you'll just be
Yeah.
in the chaos.
Yeah. I just in terms of your work, and if people want to, you obviously you do take commissions, I imagine, or how do you work? And I know you've created some.
I don't really. I have done
Okay.
in the past, but at the moment I'm just working with whatever's coming through me.
Yeah.
I think that's the easiest thing for me to
Mm,
do. And then somebody just like that, it's complete flow. I'll create something, and then I'll post it on, like, social media, and then whoever it's meant to be for will contact me fairly
yeah. Yeah.
immediately.
Wow.
But I always get everything photographed as well, like, professionally. So I have lots of prints available, and different kind of options available there as well, if anybody is resonates or is drawn to any of my artwork. So there's plenty of the same kind of image available. like
Yes, I've
in
seen a
either
few.
paper prints or canvas prints or anything like that at all. So yeah, and then I like a lot of the pieces that have gone out, people come back to me then, and sometimes they tell me things about them that I didn't even uncover, about the painting when I was. So it might be a direct message to them, or something, it creates a shift in their life in some way. And then they'll come back and tell me, and I'll be like, oh my God, that's amazing. So yeah.
It's magic. You know what just comes to me when you say that? It's like it's so important that each of us do the work to express our gifts because it's like we're each keys for each other, unlocking each other. And if I
Yeah,
don't do my work so I can show up in whatever role I'm meant to be doing, somebody could be waiting for, it could be a word, it could be like the energy that's coming through, only that you've done the work you've done, your paintings wouldn't have come through and now be offering the healing they do. Like it's amazing.
yeah.
Like it's so essential we do this because as you said, the gifts are always at the other side because they're who we are. Like,
Absolutely, yeah. And we are all keys for each other. Like I've found that
yeah,
over and over again, like with
yeah,
different people that I've met. And even with the breathwork training that I did back in 2020, I went to a breathwork up the country. And then I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I can actually I can feel my womb, I can get into my root chakra. I was doing loads of clearing during the breathwork. And then, like, 2 months later, I'm in Salt Spring Island in off the coast of Vancouver doing the training. So that person who I went to the breathwork was a key for me, that's
yeah,
because that's where she'd gone. So like I just
yes,
followed in her kind of footsteps. She'd I suppose walked the path before and ended up doing that. And then like women come here and they do the breath, and then that opens up something in them. And yeah, we're all definitely here to activate each other and to support each other, and not be trying to do it on our own. And that's a big lesson for me because I always felt one of my wounds was feeling unsupported and feeling like I had to do everything on my own. So the gift on the other side of that then is creating women's circles and
mm,
holding space for people so that they don't feel that they're
it's beautiful.
that
Yeah,
they're alone.
yeah, yeah,
and
so
and that
important.
we can have communities that are kind of authentic as well, that you can come in and just speak about what's happening to you and you're in a sacred space. And because a lot of people are having these kind of mystical or experiences now, or as you said, like physical illnesses and chaotic stuff happening to them in their lives. And it's important we have somewhere to go, you
Yeah,
know. Yeah. And it
yeah.
used to be the way in the past, the women's circles, that's where women used to
I
gather. And
know. You can
yeah,
feel it. Like I can nearly feel there's a call or this craving nearly inside me to find it again. Like it's waking up, and I suppose it's if the more of us that it's waking up in, we'll just find our way back to that. We sort of
yeah,
naturally are, aren't we? It,
yeah,
you know,
absolutely. And
and
then and coming back to the rhythms of nature as well as women, because we're,
mm,
that's been a huge revelation for me as well, coming into the natural cycles with like going a little bit quieter in the winter and um
yeah.
yeah, just being, on the moon cycles, all that kind of stuff. So I was completely out of sync with all of that, for so long. So
Yes,
yeah,
yeah, me
rooting
too.
into that has been a big game changer as well.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So you sort
yeah.
of slow it down in winter, do you a bit, and then
Yeah, just listen, like we know we don't have to be the way that we're thought to be, busy, 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 do this, just stop, pause, rest, do, listen to your body.
and I
Uh,
think it's, sorry, do you know, I think there's a big wound. Well, I know I have had it, probably still do, human wound around scarcity and lack, and there won't be enough if I don't do. And
mhm.
I'm beginning to see, I'm very slow at this, that the more I slow down and stop and go off, I'll just give one tiny example. I work with the doTerra essential oils as well. I
Mm.
love them. And
They're beautiful. Yeah.
yeah, and they're so pure in their frequency. And I'm not actively outselling them, but I am sort of an advocate. So if people do want to get involved, and sometimes I've done classes because I love sharing them, that's great. But I was sort of just trying to figure it out and what am I doing? Or I just using them for myself? And I went off to my drumming circle one day and I was so happy. I never felt such joy coming out of it. And as I came out, I had two messages from people I never met going, oh, how do I find out about the oils? And I said, now, if, and I wasn't doing it for that reason, but the point being, when you're in that flow, what you
Yeah.
need will come to you. And I knew I was being shown that, and I still find it hard. But I think, and I'm just saying that for people listening as well, who might be going, but it's easier said than done when you're in the
Yeah.
slog. I was in the slog when I was, I mean, I enjoyed my job for a while, but I literally thought before I got cancer, there is no way I can survive unless I go back to this. I mean, oh my God, how am I going to pay all my bills?
Yeah.
And everything was rearranged. It was a huge letting go. It was very challenging, but it does. There is a whole, yeah, the whole process that has to go through, like of breaking down and like you
Yeah.
said, coming back into the rhythms of nature. And I
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
to notice that going, but nature always seems to be in a lovely flow. You never see this striving that I'm in. And everything happens, there has to be
Yeah.
something in this for me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I used to think that during lockdown as well, with all the craziness happening in the human world.
Mm,
And then I'd be down at the
mm.
beach and I was like, but the birds are still,
I
flying around
know.
and the waves are still, the ocean is still coming in and they're oblivious to all this like
Exactly.
madness
I
that we've
know.
created, like in our
We're
human
glued to
mind.
televisions going, oh my God,
Yeah,
we're all
yeah.
going to die.
What
I
am I meant
know.
to do now? Tell me what to do next.
I
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
that's, yeah, yeah. So that's just to say that as well, because I know sometimes people can go, oh, well, it's easy for you or it's easy for that
yeah,
person. It never is. When you see
yeah.
something that appears effortless and easy, it's probably taken a lot of
Yeah.
undoing to get to that. That's
Yeah,
my
no, it's not easy
experience,
at all.
doesn't
It's
it?
not for the faint-hearted at
No,
all, that's for
no.
sure. Like it's kind of a warrior's path, really, because
It is. It is the warrior's
yeah,
path for
yeah,
sure. And you're
it is.
definitely on it,
Yeah.
Jean, or have
Yeah.
been on it. Is there a piece you're working on right now before I let you go?
I have two. Well, I'm kind of on a pause, but I have two pieces that will be coming in. So, I've lots of pieces that want to be painted, but I've
Mm,
been busy with other stuff with energy work. But I want to paint. I've started the mother tree. So, I feel that some of the energy or the sacred geometry that's there at the moment that's very important, or that I have been connecting clients to as well, is the organic tree of life grid,
okay.
and connecting into that organic source energy as opposed to this kind of distorted matrix that we've all been plugged into. So I want to bring in a visual for that. So like a
Beautiful.
tree and a woman, and then connecting down into the womb of the earth as well somehow. Um, so yeah, so that's the idea that I'll be working on at the moment. And then another one of which is a commission actually, even though I said I didn't do commissions, but this one is for very patient special lady who's been waiting for a long time,
Uh-huh.
of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. I'm going to be working on
Wow.
one of those for her as well. And yeah, loads and loads of ideas. But
You
I've
don't
been
do
kind of
oracle cards or anything like that, do
I
you?
don't. A lot of people have said that to me, but I haven't felt drawn to do that. One
Mm.
thing that I'd love to do, actually, I might talk to you about it after because you've written books, is a children's. I've loads of beautiful art pieces that would appeal to children. Because even if I do
Oh,
fairs or
yeah.
anything, it's little kids are coming up to me asking me about the fairies.
Oh, wow.
And then I was looking at books for my nieces and nephews, and niece and nephews in Australia, and I bought a few. But I was thinking, wouldn't it be lovely to have maybe something like all the fairies that I have and mermaids and things, some sort of a book that would be connected, uh, you know, with
Mm.
children and their souls, and I don't
Yeah.
know,
But you
something
know,
very
yeah.
uplifting for
Yeah.
bedtime, as opposed to the old
Yeah.
fairy tales, but bring something in that would be I don't know. It's
Which
all
is
a bit out in
beautiful.
the ethers, but the
No,
idea is
yeah, the
there.
fact we're talking about it's obviously
Yeah,
coming in. But
yeah,
even when you say that, and the fact that your art is so activating, let's say, wouldn't that be lovely for children that even just, you're
yeah,
lighting them up without them maybe knowing, and maybe
exactly.
you're unlocking things for them. in
Yeah,
a very nice, gentle way. They're just enjoying it, but it's like it's
yeah.
doing it for adults. It would have to be the same for children. Wouldn't that be a magical thing to be doing now?
It would. Well, I have a lot of fairies and stuff that are, and
Oh,
when I
Lord,
paint those, they're all by my inner child. So it would be like my inner child speaking to, the other children who are still in that really innocent kind of
yeah.
phase of their lives and stuff. And anyway, that's just another idea.
Beautiful. And maybe
I
feeling a
can't
bit
believe I
less.
said this on camera. Now I'm gonna.
No, it's boring. Well, now you have to do it. There's
Yeah, yeah.
no pressure, no pressure. It's good to speak these things. That's what the voice,
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
yeah,
That's the
yeah,
whole thing of the voice,
yeah,
that part of the reason that the feminine voice was suppressed because that's the next part of the creative process is speaking something into existence. So
well, that's it. Yeah, yeah. And
it's
thinking
important.
something into existence as well.
Yeah,
That seems to be
yeah,
happening as well
yeah,
now. You
yeah.
think something and next thing, yeah.
It can be very fast.
Something will yeah, it is very fast though. It is. So yeah, we have to be careful what we're thinking
Be careful of what we're thinking.
and
Exactly.
speaking, bring it into alignment with our highest, our higher selves. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's just a little, I'm not saying tip, but a lot of people are probably doing this long before me, but I just find the more I consciously every morning just ask to be aligned with my
Hmm.
highest self and that everything I do in the day is aligned, it just seems to, I just feel this ease that sort of comes in a
Yeah.
bit more, just consciously asking that. Just feel okay, it'll be okay. Whatever happens, it is aligned with my highest self and whatever,
Yeah.
up or down, good or bad, whatever happens. And I don't
And
need to fix it.
trusting, yeah,
I'm
and
trusting it.
trusting that that'll show up and that you'll take
Yeah,
the action, but it's not all on you to figure out,
exactly.
because yeah.
And it could be something like something is cancelled, and where this is where I find, as we said earlier, we still have to take action. It's not about sitting back, but it's like
Hmm.
being able to let go if something doesn't work out or something was cancelled, you rather than, oh my God, this is what I
Yeah,
have to figure this out. Just go, no. And
yeah.
it happened, I'll just say this before we go, but I had two guests I remember just has it rarely happens, but just suddenly had to cancel last minute. And it's not the end of the world in the scheme of life, but I would
Yeah,
get myself a little bit worked up and I just said, okay, if someone else is meant to fill that slot next week, will you just sort it out? And if not, that's fine. I'm good. And then literally that night or the next night, I must have gone on social media and a woman who I'd met at a retreat or a drumming circle has said she lived in Mexico. She was Irish. Oh, I'd love to come on. We must connect. And we both said, well, whenever it's meant to happen, it'll happen. And I'd totally forgotten. And then she appears on right in the screen. I went, oh, and I just messaged her and she said, oh, yeah, I said I'd wait till you contacted me. Perfect. Yeah, can do that tomorrow or whatever. And that's literally how it happened.
yeah.
Now, I could
Instant.
have spent the whole day in a heap,
Yeah, yeah,
so it's just it really does. Everything is
yeah.
taken care of. It really is, isn't it?
And it's the more you get used to it being like that, because you'll kind of like, oh well, sky didn't fall down the last time, this happened instead, and you just start to retrain your brain.
Mm,
And even with each piece of art as well, like there's always a stage where it's complete chaos, and I forget how to paint, and I'm looking at, I'm like, I don't know how, and then I just don't know what to do. I'm stuck. I don't know, and then it's like,
wow.
oh, just do something, and I have to look at a previous piece that I did, and I was like, okay, well, you did that, so so you can do this as well. You just have to, it'll come. Like, don't get all up in a heap, as you say, about it, and all in a creative block. Just take a breath or go for a walk and come back and just do something, even if it looks awful, which it does until it looks good. It's all kind of, there's always
Yes.
it always looks awful for a good bit. Um, and just being comfortable with that kind of, chaos until the trust comes again, and then eventually, um, you know, the painting will come. It's just an
Mm.
example
No,
with
it's
art.
beautiful. Well,
That
it's
kind of,
but it's life, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, it is.
We have to go through the messy chaos I
Yeah.
don't like it. Even now in the world, we have to go through this. I just have to. I have to keep saying this, and I think we. I sometimes feel like I keep saying sometimes similar stuff on podcasts with guests, but I think we have to keep hearing it because we've heard so. We've had years and years and years of our lives hearing the opposite of how things are, and
Yeah.
it's not the truth. I know that from my experience, even if I don't always practice it, I know it, and so
Yeah.
I have to keep saying it. And the more of us that say this to each other, and then we all start we can
Exactly. Yeah.
someone
Yeah.
had told me, well, I mean, I don't know that I'd have listened. We all find it all happens in the right time. But it's
Yeah.
lovely people do show up and maybe someone listening will hear something you say or I say and go, oh gosh.
Yeah.
And it might just
Exactly. And that is the way it
oh,
happens. And like, or somebody go back, oh, and you said this. And I'm like, what did I say?
mm,
Did I, what? You know, you can't even remember what you said, but it would have an effect on them and vice versa. Yeah.
yeah. So just say a final maybe word of advice or thoughts or anything you want to share before we finish. I'm going to put, sorry, just to say to
Hmm.
listeners, I'll have Jean's, all of her contact details in the description box here, so you'll be able to find her work. And it's beautiful. She's a beautiful website and a beautiful shop there, and you can look through and see what, yeah, resonates or feels you
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm.
Advice. So, just to get out, connect with nature. That would be, I know it's very simple and cliche, but that's really what's been working for me and has been my biggest healer, as well as doing all the other work and the energetics. But at the moment, just really engaging the senses when you're outside, connecting with the trees, connecting with the water, whatever it is, and just be present with it in that moment and in that time. Um, in the sauna that I run with my husband, or that he runs mainly, actually. But the change that even has made to people, in Ireland, that whole culture has been
Yeah,
phenomenal
it's
because they're
huge.
connecting with the sea, and they're resetting, and the Wi-Fi is being cleared, and for that hour they can't be on anything, or there's nothing vying for anybody's attention, and they're just there in the bay, and they're like, oh my God, just this is so beautiful, and just going away completely changed just from that, one taking that time out and having that 1 hour out in the bay and out in nature, and then that ripples out to the next decision they're making, and to how they're feeling later
Yes.
in that day, and how their interactions with their family and other people, and more people are doing that now. And I really do feel that as we come back into alignment with the planet, and our heart, connects with the electricity on the planet as well, that things will shift and change dramatically by doing something just as lovely as going out and doing that. It's not hard to do, but it can have a
Mm,
massive impact the more people that do it, because then it informs decisions that we make, let's say, about the way we're living on the planet, and the choices we make, and what we buy and what we consume and everything.
yeah.
It ripples into everything. So
It's huge.
that's
Thank you
actually
for
quite
sharing that.
long-winded. Yeah,
No, thank you. It's
yeah,
not, when people go, yeah, it's cliche, no, but just how you've
yeah,
described it there, it's huge. That,
yeah.
and I think you said something earlier, and it's that of being connected to the planet. We're getting all of the, um, I don't know what's the right word, upgrades or energy is coming to us through the physical earth. So we need to be out. I need to realize that more as well in the winter, particularly to be
Hmm.
out and connected more, which I'm not. I walk, but I'm probably not as connected. So, and consciously to trees and the sea, and I'm
Yeah,
outside the sea as well. So, yeah,
yeah.
that's
It's just
really
sitting there
nice.
and just
Ripples out.
breathing with it. You don't even
Yeah.
have to do anything. Just I'm going to breathe. I'm just going to notice. Oh, look at how green that moss is, and or what does that feel like, and just engaging the senses to bring it into the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you, Jean. Thank you so much for your time today. Took
Thank
a lot of
you.
your time today. And thank
Well,
you,
thank you so much,
everyone.
Silly, and thank you so much for
Yeah.
inviting me. And this is a big initiation for me as well, because
Oh, good.
I haven't done many interviews, and I
We'll give
prefer
it a
to
start.
communicate through touch or art, or yeah, other ways. But yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome. You communicate beautifully through voice as well. So keep going. And yeah, lovely. Thank you, everyone. And until the next time, take care.